welcome to this vlog. By the way, I am Rotchell and Ortiz from Bachelor of Science in Nursing. For today's video, I'm going to share or talk about the reflection about the following essay of Dr. Jose Rizal, The Philippines Within 100 Years, The Poor Filipino or the Vision of Ray Rodriguez, The Sobre la Indolencia de los Filipinos or the Indolence of the Filipinos, Limitangere and the El Filibusterismo. Una ay ang Philippines Within 100 Years, in which this article is talk about the Jose Rizal's estimated the future of the Philippines. It in the span of the 100 years, in which he prophesies the Filipino Revolution against the Spain and winning their independence, and later on, there is a new colonizers came. The Jose Rizal's vision to the country became true as it happened and regained its own long-awaited democracy and liberty. At nilahad din ni Jose Rizal ang mga isyu na kinakaharap ng ating bansa, katulad ng lack of freedom, the abuse of human rights, the lack of freedom of the press, the lack of representation of the Spanish Cortes. In this time, we have the freedom and living in democratic country that is very far from the past and the lesson that we have today because of the past. Like we learned to fight for our right and be not slaves. This social-political essay is a reminder for everyone that we should have a vision for our country and as a nation, with unity and being a Filipino, to be wise and to choose a leader that bring a positive and good changes for our country and for the generation to come. The success for ourselves is the success for our country. We just don't look forward for today but also look for a better tomorrow, that we can have a better nation and unity as a Filipino. Therefore, it is the eye-opening for everyone nowadays, especially when it comes to the politics, wherein the future of the Philippines is in the hands of the Filipino citizen, in which we to choose a leader that is true in giving service to the people, a leader that has a plan and vision for the people and his country, so that the history will not be repeated itself. The next one is the Poor Filipino and the Vision of Fray Rodriguez. This essay was a witty satire that written by Jose Rizal under the pseudonym of Di Masalang, and this because of the bitter attack in his novel entitled The Limitangere. Poor Filipino, it is narrated in a funny way in a telephone conversation, while the Vision of Fray Rodriguez, it is a satire depicting to a spirited dialogue between the Catholic Saint Augustine and Rodriguez. Jose Rizal make or use a different style or ways of writing in defense through a witty satire that show his cleverness and his futuristic vision in his profound knowledge when it comes to religion. Some people express their thoughts or feelings through a way of writings in which Jose Rizal did in a way that is witty to expose and criticize a person's stupidity or views. And until today, the style still used, although more improved because of the modern technology. The religion became one of the important factors of who we are as a person, in which we use it for our faith and believe that God exists. The Vision of Fray Rodriguez, it sounds funny, but we know that the fact that someone used their religion or belief that someone told them to do because it's their calling or their purpose. However, the essay of Jose Rizal, which he write to peace the friars and told him to do more writings so that the friars become peace, wherein part of the essay says that I condemn you to continue saying and writing nonsense for the rest of your life, so that the world may laugh at you, which is his novel attack and criticized by the friars. His method of defense in his writings is witty, although the ideal one, because he shows his cleverness and intelligence in responding, as we all know before, that the friars have the power of everything. Plus, he has the futuristic vision that manifested in the Poor Filipino, that the writings in a funny way of the telephone conversation between the font and the provincial friars. It is close to everyone and familiar the way of how he responded to the friars. Because of what I have reflected today, We react through social media and a satire way just to express what are feeling, particularly in the context of the contemporary politics and other topical issues. Next is the indolence of the Filipino. This essay rationally encountered the accusation by the Spaniards that the Filipino were lazy during the Spanish reign, wherein Dr. Jose Rizal argued that Filipinos are innately hardworking prior or before the Spanish came in the Philippines. At sa panahon ng pananakop ng Spanish sa Pilipinas, the Filipinos' life is hard because they do a forced labor, destroyed the previous link of the Philippines with the other countries, Filipinos become landless and wanderers, paying high taxes, and more of which the Filipinos become indolent. They become indolent because of the lack of support, their position, their labor become worthless because the Spaniards capture and control their life within no security and safety. Consequently, the accusation of the Spanish that Filipino was indolent is not true. It has only happened because of their cruelty in the ruling of the life of the Filipinos before and oppressed their right. Therefore, as what the Jose Rizal says or explained in the essay, that Filipino were just wise in their level of work under the tropical climate. Because even though the Filipinos colonized by the Spanish, we still have thinking of even we work hard, it is still worthless because of their ways of rule, that the accusation that Filipinos were indolent, that is because of the end product of the Spanish colonization. The next one is the Noli Me Tangere. The novel had opened the eyes of the Filipinos and provoked them to act and demand right. It's talk about the ills of the Philippine society during the Spanish rule, and keeping in mind that it's not necessary to use violence or a bloodshed to achieve freedom, because we can use our intelligence or convincing ideas that to prove that we could achieve what we are fighting for. The character of Crisostomo Ibarra is the example of being a patriotic person that symbolized the idealism of the privileged youth whom endeavored to reform, primarily in the education, in order to fight and eliminate the poverty and improve the life of his countrymen. The novel illustrated the social levels, such like ang pagiging mayaman at mahirap, edukado at hindi edukado, the lawless and lawful, na nangyayari because of being victim of the government and religion that the Spanish brought. Therefore, don't be blind by what you see, and the solution is in our hands. If we fight it or let it control our life, as like what as a result want to have changes. Filipinos must learn to fight for their right, and everything will start from each of us in order to be succeed. And the next novel is the El Filibusterismo. This novel is full of action, vengeance, and however, what happened was the other way around, and his vengeance hadn't pushed through. It shows how an individual planted anger that developed thirst of revenge. It also shows that the violence is never the answer of anything. It is just a way to create and replace the old problem with a new one. The novel had indeed with a tragedy, and it tells that the bloodshed is not the answer, as there is always hope. The novel also shows that it's better to die when you know what you are fighting for. Like what Simon did. Hindi siya nagpapahuli ng buhay because he already know na kahit na sumuko siya, he already know na wala ring mangyayari because the system of justice is not fair in the time of the Spanish. Therefore, it is clear that the novel is about the system of governing the Philippines that dominated by the friars that is corrupt and make the life of the Filipinos harder as they oppressed